All right. I will go ahead and call this meeting to order. The date is June 5th. Time is 7:30, and we will get started with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The first order of business on our June 5th agenda will be presentations. For this, I will relinquish the floor to the mayor.
Test, test. There we are. Thank you, Council President. Okay, the first order of business tonight is to call up a young gentleman named Kellen Echeverria. How'd I do? Okay, come on up, Kellen. I thought Hushhour was a bad name. Echeverria is not too bad. All right, so recently, Kellen entered a contest, and the contest was if I were mayor for a day. And what I found out is that I got some work to do. So I'm going to read some excerpts from what Kellen had written that got him this prestigious award with the state of Maryland. And it starts with, if I were mayor, I would change my town by building more sports fields, and I would honor the annual Fireman's Carnival, both of which are great ideas. And then a little bit further down, he says, to help the town reach the goal of more sports fields, I would fundraise for materials and people to build the fields. Once they are built, I would ask local businesses to donate their time and services so the fields are maintained. For example, landscapers to mow the grass and local restaurants to run concession stands. I thought those were great ideas. Okay. For the Fireman's Carnival, he writes, if I were mayor, I would uplift and honor the Fireman's Carnival. This event happens every year. You have June, but this year it's going to be a little bit later in the year. There are rides, fun games, delicious food, and live music. This event is important to me in Mount Airy because the money supports our fire station. To me, firefighters are local superheroes. They deserve our support and care. Those are great thoughts, right? So, in conclusion, if I were mayor, I would build more sports fields and I would honor the Fireman's Carnival. So that's what got you the award. And in honor of that, what we have is and we're going to pull the council up here in a minute, but just wait a minute. From the town of Mount Airy to Kellen Echeverria, the town of Mount Airy hereby presents a certificate of achievement to Kellen Echeverria and commends you on winning the Carroll County If I Were Mayor contest. The town acknowledges your great accomplishments, and we wish you to continued success in all your future endeavors. And that's signed by myself and the entire council. At this point, we're going to pull up our council president because I think he has a few words he'd like to say as well. And while he's coming up here, I'll tell you, victory comes with a gift card. So you're going to be able to take the family out for dinner, okay? All right, go ahead, Tim.
So this is a little extra special to me because I've had the privilege of knowing, coaching, and watching this extraordinary young man grow up since he was 4 years old. Kellen is a smart, kind, and determined individual that never gives up once his mind is set on a goal. To be honest, I was not surprised to hear that Kellen won the If I Were Mayor essay contest, as he has always risen to every situation he has faced. This young man is a leader to his classmates, teammates, friends, and most of all, a leader to his 3 younger brothers. Kellen, I am so proud of you. I know your family, friends, and teachers are proud of you. I would encourage the entire Mount Airy community to be proud of you. Stay confident, stay humble, and keep excelling. I love you, buddy. Awesome. And that is for you.
All right, Nancy, you want to come up? Also here tonight is Kellen's teacher, Mrs. Turner. Let's give her a hand. Okay. And what we'd like is for the council to come up and Mrs. Turner come up and the family, whoever wants to be in this picture. We're going to put Kellen in the middle of it and get a picture of everyone holding the proclamation and the gift card. Come on up, Kellen. Right here. We'll put you in the middle there. Okay. You want to come up a little bit? There we go. Family get around them. Tall people in the back.
Tall people in the back. I know. It's
All right. Thank you, Rob. Okay.
Yep, I'm coming.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. There you go.
Short.
Thank you. All right, thank you so much. Thank you, You're welcome. It's always great when our young people achieve such greatness. So, all right, the next presentation on here, we have members of the Carroll delegation that are here. We have Delegate Tomlinson and Delegate Boucher, if y'all want to come up. The reason they're here today, and I believe Delegate Tomlinson has it, he has a pin. I'm not going to say too much because I think you have a few words to say. But our town for the past several years has been seeking a item that we considered an arrow in the quiver, which is called Urban Renewal Authority. And this year we were able to get it through the legislature thanks to our delegation working with us. We greatly appreciate it. And the pen that was used to sign it by Governor Wes Moore is being presented to the town tonight. So did you guys have some words to add in?
He's first batter. All right, it's great to be here. For those who don't know me, my name is Chris Tomlinson. I'm one of the 4 legislators that represents Legislative District 5, which includes the entire municipality of Mount Airy and about 3/4 of Carroll County. District 5 is represented by myself, Delegate April Rose, Delegate Christopher Eric Boucher, and then also Senator Justin Reedy. On behalf of the Carroll County delegation and the Frederick delegation, Delegate Boucher and I are here to present, like your mayor said, the pen used by Governor Moore on April 24th to sign House Bill 561 and Senate Bill 313, a bill that Mount Airy has hoped to pass for quite some time. The bill was actually introduced back in 2020, but due to the shortened session that year, which was for the most part good for the state of Maryland, when they shorten session, that's usually good for taxpayers. But in that case, but for Mount Airy, it was not good. The session ended early because they unfortunately it caused the bill to not get over the finish line. But this bill did make it over the finish line this time around. And for those who don't know what the bill exactly does, it's going to give the town of Mount Airy Urban Renewal Authority, and this will go into effect on October 1st of this year. I had the honor of presenting this bill on the House side in the House Environment and Transportation Committee, and I was joined by your mayor as well as the town administrator, David Warrington. They were a great help coming down there, and I think that might have been the worst and longest day to attend a committee meeting. There was one bill before that went before us that I think took, I don't even know, 3 hours maybe. Yeah, there was one bill that sucked up all the oxygen in the room, which sometimes can be to your advantage. And then on the Senate side, Senator Justin Reedy presented the bill over in the Senate Education, Energy, and Environment Committee. And on that day, Councilwoman Galetti, she joined Senator Reedy in presenting that. And the bill passed both the Senate and the House unanimously. So that was a really good thing. And then finally, in April, I attended the bill signing on the 24th of April, where Governor Moore officially signed the legislation with this pen, completing what is a very long and sometimes complicated legislative process, but that's how it works. So I'll turn it over to Delegate Boucher.
Let's see this pen, this magic pen.
It's not that magical. My wife put a ribbon on it, so it's extra magical.
Present it to the mayor.
There you go.
Thank you. If you have some words?
Yeah, I'll say a few words.
All right.
I just want to start out by saying I'm getting a little nervous with this new crackpot politician on the field, this Kellen guy. And I got to start worrying if he's on file certificate of candidacy or not. I was coming up the sidewalk this evening, I see this sharp-looking young man. I thought he'd make an excellent politician, and lo and behold, he is. You keep wearing a tie and you'll be successful. Well, it's always nice to come to Mount Airy because I've represented half the town for 4 years as county commissioner, and I'm very happy that Delegate Tomlinson is here with me today. He's my partner in crime. We share an office. We're both on judiciary, and he is good. Very active. He was very thorough in this bill. He knows what he's up to. He lives all the way out in Manchester, but he is also part of our district and representation. And regardless of where he lives in the county, he is a very key player for us to tap into, and he has a lot of resources and connections. So you'll see more of him. I'll keep bringing him around. I just want to thank everyone for believing in us and making us your delegation, and that the mayor was able to turn to us and say he had a need, and we've addressed that need. And we're also part of Frederick County delegation, so we have a very good relationship across 2 counties, which is beneficial to you because it's given us more voice in Annapolis. Also, I want to thank and recognize the new members of council. I got to meet them this evening. Welcome aboard to craziness. But I think what's most important is all of us do this because we love our communities and we love our constituents, and you're our friends. So thank you very much, and best of luck to you guys, and God bless.
All right, let's do a photo op. Probably about right.
Yeah.
Look at you. Public comment? Yeah. You want it in the middle? Sure. Sorry.
Okay.
Good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are now at the public comment portion of our agenda for tonight. How many people here wish to speak? Hands up. Okay, if we can go about 3 minutes or so, that'd be great. Heather, would you like to start?
Mine's very quick, and you're going to be surprised. It has nothing to do with development. I just wanted to let you guys know, my husband has reported this multiple times to town staff, but it's not been fixed. And I'll send this to you, but this is a hole on North Main, so it's a hazard for someone to step in, and I'm just kind of concerned for the town. So whoever's on Streets and Roads. It's right in front of, it's actually right near Green Tree. So it's right near Green Tree and the church. They're on North Main. So I just wanted to get that out there. Okay.
No, thank you for that.
You have that? Yes. Okay.
Go ahead, Charlie.
I'm Charlie Mansfield, and I live in the 21771 zip. I'd like to first congratulate Tim, Jason, and Carl for their election wins. And as one person said to me soon after the election, the people have spoken. So congratulations. So as we were reviewing the agenda today, we were very encouraged that for some of the items that were on there. In particular, there were 3 ordinance on mixed-use developments, 2023, 30, 31, and 32. Overall, these ordinances express the need for improvements that are in the best interests of the town and its residents. These ordinances address issues concerning long overdue open space waivers, water sewage allocation, and open space requirements for the MXD and MXU CC zones. I hope we will see these ordinances implemented. I want to share a few comments about the developer's recent charrette. On the plus side, they appear to listen to some of the people's comments. However, several issues remain. Although no specific numbers were provided, housing density remains too high and is not consistent with the Mount Airy atmosphere. Also, the plan to dedicate all residential units on Beck East to senior housing is too extreme. There should be a mix of housing and more open space. Also, citizen comments concerning sports fields and facilities were not adequately addressed. And finally, based on well performance, water is still an issue. To many of us, the developer's plans to alleviate the water issues seem tenuous at best. And I have another comment about charrettes, but instead of talking about that in front of everybody, I just want to give this to the mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charlie. Sheila, absolutely.
Hi, I'm Sheila Pyatt, 705 Park Avenue. There is a saying that says, "Don't bite the hand that feeds you." In this case, the residents in the town are the hands that feed our elected officials. Apparently, Galletti and Demoter did not see it this way. We elect people to represent the residents and taxpayers of this town. This definitely was not done by Galletti and Demoter. Petition against rezoning had 200 signatures, 111 from senior community. Could have gotten more if more time was allowed. All were eager to sign. Town planner and town lawyer recommended against rezoning since the standard for mistake or change was not met, and Planning and Zoning Commission rejected rezoning this property on 3 separate occasions. The last time Planning Commission member voted in favor. The last time no commission planning was voted in favor. The petition was treated as trash, as was the Board of Appeals 1987 decision. Election time, when you all run to Wildwood community because they vote and usually know what is going on in town. Wonder if that is going to help you both in the next election in 2 years if you decide to run. The only people that were happy were the property owner and lawyers, not the residents. When the residents on Merry-Go-Round Way go to sell and tell the prospective buyers that the property behind them has turned into commercial. Would you buy this property? One resident told me that he had planned on giving his house as his inheritance to his grandson. Before I sit down, I want to applaud Tim and Jason for their election results. And I also want to say you must be your own person. Do what you genuinely feel is the right thing. I remember when my husband, Dave Pyatt, who served for 24 years, had the situation with the Zeltman property. He was the only one on the council that was against it until he wrote on an article in the newspaper. And when the people realized we couldn't even have it at the meetings here, we had to go to the fire company. That's how many people showed up. Am I right, Larry? Yep. So it must be your own person. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone left for public comment? Dr. O'Brien?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Sometimes people fiddle with facts, and I would urge you, as you did before, to look at the facts and stand up for the facts and prove your facts. The facts that the Pyatts put up and sold to the seniors aren't true. It was proven. They were cross-examined. If you don't have and would wish, I have a copy of the original minutes of my 1987 Board of Appeals meeting. In nowhere in there does that support anything that Mr. and Mrs. Pyatt said. No promises were made, nothing was made. I've held up my end of the bargain for years. The seniors moved in and got a bird's eye view of the lots they're living in, right from my backyard. We took them around to show them where they were going to live. They moved in fully knowing that they were moving in behind a commercial veterinary clinic. That's it. If you need any more facts, I've got them. You're welcome to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. O'Brien. Anyone left for public comment? All right, we will move on to the next portion of our agenda, which is speakers, to which I don't believe we have any. Delegates have left. All right. So now we're going to go into approval of council meeting minutes and closed minutes and other related minutes as listed. Apparently, the month of May was very busy. We have a lot of minutes to approve. For the first 6 minutes, Jason and myself will recuse ourselves from the vote for the simple fact that we were not on the town council yet. So we will recuse ourselves from the first 6 approvals. So I will present the May 2023 town council meeting minutes. We will need a motion to approve.
I'll motion to approve.
Second.
All right, do we have any discussion?
Quick discussion. I have some very, very minor typos, which I can provide after the meeting. If you are okay approving the meeting minutes, acknowledging the correction of the typos, then I will be good.
I'm good with that because it doesn't change the substance of the meeting.
Yep.
The intent of the minutes.
Okay, so we have a motion. We have a second with the stipulation of a few minor typo. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We'll move on to May 2023 public hearing minutes regarding ordinance 2023-10 to adopt tax rates for fiscal year 23-24. I will need a motion.
I'll motion to approve.
We have a
I'll
second.
second.
Any discussion on this? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? May 2023 public hearing minutes, ordinance 2023-11 to adopt the budget for fiscal year 23-24. Need a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we move in now to the closed meeting minutes from May. Though this will be related to land acquisition, we will need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. And then the May 2023 closed meeting minutes regarding lease terms. We will need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. We'll now go into the May 10th special town council meeting approval of written findings and decisions from May 8th. The rezoning hearing and adoption of ordinance 2023-15, which changed the zoning map of the O'Brien property. I will need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. And now Jason and I can participate. So we will look to approve the May 15th, 2023 special town council meeting minutes, swearing in of recently elected town council members. I will make my first motion to approve this.
Second.
Any discussion?
Once again, a incredibly minor typo, but a typo it is, that we can accept it with that amendment.
All right, we will I motion to accept the meetings with the meeting minutes with a minor amendment for a typo. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we're good. Got through that quick. All right, now we are on to the Civil Air Patrol report. Captain Rolfe. Welcome. How are you, sir?
How are you doing?
Good, very good.
Good to see new faces.
Thank you, sir.
All right, this is our report for the month of May 2023. Under mission significant activities, the squadron headed up planning and execution of a group-level search and rescue exercise. This was based out of the Frederick Airport and involved members from 4 different squadrons in the local area. Personnel completed scenarios requiring airport ramp checks, emergency beacon location, and searchline employment at the airport and nearby wilderness areas. We also began initial coordination with another squadron. We're developing tactics and practices of employing small unmanned aerial systems or drones with our ground team as an enhanced capability to what they can provide in their search and rescue procedures. Those initial capabilities that we're focusing on right now are search and rescue and building and facility inspections, such as after a storm or other type of damage, or basically any kind of assessment that you need a bird's eye view of. I owe the council an updated report because I left off another significant activity. We are, now that we're in the summertime, we're actually supporting the Bay Patrol mission, which is when Civil Air Patrol basically flies around the Chesapeake Bay on weekends to assist the Coast Guard and other authorities, making sure there's no boaters or other issues in distress, and report back. So some of our members actively participate in that as well. Under community support, the squadron supported the Monterey Main Street Association Spring Fair event. We provided some additional manpower to the main stage to help ensure public safety, and we also manned our own information booth to help showcase our organization and our capabilities to the public. Qualifications and achievements: one of our members entered the training pipeline for full mission pilot, so he's already flying, but this actually gives him qualifications to go up in some of our more intense missions. And we have another member that is completed the requirements to evaluate and certify other members on mission radio operations. Significant training: we had two senior members, 2 of our adult members complete the professional development courses that are part of our program, and we had 12 of our members that participated in the SARX I mentioned earlier that are continuing to pursue their qualifications in various emergency services skill sets or reach certification. 2 of our cadets completed their 5th and final orientation flights. We got them in right before their 18th birthday, so they're still qualified. And we had 1 new cadet join during this month. Our ground team remains fully mission capable. However, we have an extended response time. Right now, our vehicle that is signed out to our squadron is actually deadlined. And so it takes us a little bit longer now to actually request another vehicle from another squadron or authorize a personal use vehicle for any kind of missions we may be called on. But it doesn't prevent us from actually doing the mission. It just, we might need another half hour to an hour to get on site. Over Horizon, we have, this actually happened this last weekend. We provided personnel to support the Maryland National Guard's Adjutant General Change Command Ceremony. And we are also leading planning efforts for another group-level emergency services training that's going to be planned later in this month. Not on here as well, I do owe MAMSA a call back for Oktoberfest. For anyone that's listening on that one, I got your message, just need to respond to you. We will definitely support that. Depending on your questions, that's my report for the month.
Any questions?
I appreciate everything that y'all do. Will you be available after the July 3rd event this year?
If you need us, we'll be there.
All right, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Captain.
All right, thank you.
The next order on the agenda, we have added back a Mount Airy Volunteer Fire Company report. We don't have a report from them this evening, so we will go through that. Mount Airy Police Department, I will happily present Lieutenant Ginevra to the podium.
Thank you.
Welcome and congratulations.
Yes, thank you. So Lieutenant Michael Ginevra, first that we have here that we conducted in May of 2023 for meetings and trainings. On May 1st, Mount Airy hosted a street cop training that identified vehicles and occupants. We had about 20 law enforcement officers from the Maryland area that attended this. Myself and Officer Gebhardt attended this training. On May 24th, I conducted in-service annual firearms training, certifying Officer Medeiros and Officer Gebhardt. May 30th, Mount Airy Police Department hosted again another training event, Smugglers Inc. 2.0, with 23 officers from the Maryland and Virginia area attended this. From Mount Airy, Officers Medeiros, Savoy, and Officer Gebhardt and myself were also a part of this training. As a result of that training for the community outreach, the Community Foundation of Carroll County supplied lunches for all of the officers that attended the Smugglers Inc. So I'd like to definitely thank them for that. It was a good lunch. It was from Mission Barbecue. Also for the community outreach for May, myself, Officer Bridges, and Officer Gebhardt attended the spring fair. So we had some nice pictures with some of the ladies from Miss Teen in Mount Airy. So that was kind of interesting. We worked the booth. It was a good time. Mount Airy still, the police department has the prescription and over-the-counter medication disposal. Make sure you just come to the office. It's there. If you have any questions or anything, myself or one of the officers can help with that, if you have any questions in reference to that. Significant events and crime trends, we're finding that we're having a lot of thefts, lower-end thefts in itself. And also just to let the town know in itself too for some home safety and vacation trips, try to not post any of that stuff on social media. If you want to post any of those events, let people know after it. If you're going out of town or anything like that, you can submit a request to have a Mount Airy officer come by your location. We can check on the residents. And if you have any other questions, you can either request either myself or one of the officers, and we can go into a little more detail in reference to that. Myself and the other officers conducted Operation Cone. We called it on May 19th, 2023, between the hours of 1800, 2300 hours. This operation here, in reference to Operation Cone, was specifically designed for 1312 South Main Street. There was the Jimmy Cone parking lot. It seems to be a constant problem every year in itself. So we wanted to provide at least some more police presence and deter some dangerous driving behavior and give some positive community engagement. Conducted out of that in itself, just specifically for the Operation Cone, 4 moving citations were issued, 3 safety repair orders, 10 warnings, and we did a total of 12 traffic stops, just specifically for violations that were on the Jimmy Cone parking lot. For calls for service for the month of May, it was 548 calls of service. It was a 21% increase from the January of 2023 and a 16% decrease for May of 2022. For Group A offenses, there were 15. We had 4 assaults, 1 breaking and entering, 2 destructions of vandalism, 2 narcotic offenses, 2 fraud offenses, and 4 thefts. For Group B offenses, we had 2 driving under the influence, family offense of nonviolent, and 3 other offenses. For the month of May, we had 1 overdose report. For citations, in the month of May, we had 58 total citations issued, 101 traffic warnings, 8 safety repair orders, 2 DWI arrests, and we had 5 arrestable traffic offenses, a total of 93 traffic stops conducted, and we had 4 criminal arrests. They were also conducted during that month of May. Does anyone have any questions or?
We'll open up the floor for questions.
Yes, thank you so much for the report.
Yes, sir.
Just a quick question, and maybe you said it and I missed it, but on the Operation Cone, the warnings, there were 10 warnings. What were some of the nature of the warnings that were issued?
First, spinning of wheels. If we deemed it wasn't necessary at that point in time based on their record, it was more of an educational purpose for some of the younger generation that was hanging up there at the Jimmy Cone to let them know that it's unlawful to do spinning of the wheels and speeding down the road, that we were using the LPRs and stuff like
Okay.
that.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I want to say, first of all, congratulations on your
Thank you.
promotion to lieutenant. And
Yes, sir.
thank you for being the interim chief while we're trying to get reorganized, and I hope it leads to much better things for you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Also wanted to thank the police department. I know our staffing is a little bit low, but you guys have been at the banks quite a bit, and I really appreciate your increased coverage at the banks.
Yes, in reference to that, though, I do have a young lady that's coming for a written exam tomorrow. I do have another gentleman from Frederick Correctional Facility that's also on the hook. They would be considered new recruits, and I have the potential of 4 other lateral officers that are also interested in coming to Mount Airy.
Okay, and you guys are at the carnival all week?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you and
Thank you.
congratulations.
Thank you. Can I be excused, sir?
Absolutely.
Great, thank you.
All right, we'll move on to new business. Just a quick note and a reminder that the July Town Council meeting has been moved to July 10th. So that will be July 10th. It's been moved for the July 4th celebration. It will be here at Town Hall at 7:30 PM on July 10th. Moving on. There's been a road closure request. The date is Saturday, August 12th, from 8 AM to 11 AM. It's the Rotary Club of Mount Airy and their president, J.D. Kelly, requesting the closure for the Main Street mile from Prospect Road to Paradise Avenue. We'll need,
This person can speak
oh,
to
Mr. Wiltshire, come on up. How are you, sir?
Congratulations to the new members. So my name is Dick Wiltshire, 7961 Bennett Branch Road. I'm a former president of the Rotary Club. So this would be our second Mount Airy Mile. The Rotary Club formed a foundation called the Mount Airy Rotary Cares Foundation, and the goal of that is to help people with extraordinary healthcare expenses. So they could have an expense that they incurred and they had a problem with it because of a healthcare situation. So there's one example we have with the town where somebody who became very ill, they couldn't pay their water bill, and our foundation could step up to that. So this is our biggest annual fundraiser. I'd like to see everybody in here running it, okay? It goes fast. Last year, we had almost 200 people. Lynn was a big help to us. Last year, we're hoping to get 250 to 300 people. Last year, Carl had asked about, can we, or maybe Steve, can we shorten that time? And I can assure you the time will be shortened than what's on here. We'll have it down pretty well. The only thing we request is that better support from the town and letting us have the big signs and also putting the signs up and down Main Street to let people know that this event's coming. Last year, we had a few situations where, cars were pulling out, and the Civil Air Patrol also helped us, and we'll be requesting their help again. Any questions?
Some questions, if you guys don't mind. So we talked a lot about this last year because you guys were kind of shocked at things you needed. So you're going to contact the Civil Air Patrol to get the cones to block the side streets.
And we had done that last year, yes.
And you're going to talk to Public Works about getting the signs up
Yes.
at the ends to let people know Main Street's going to be closed. And you've talked to the Mount Airy Police to get the support to block both ends of Main Street.
Yeah, so JD has filled out the paperwork. The two things we need signed are from the Mount Airy Police.
Yeah.
Because it's a state road, we need somebody from
Yeah.
the state police, and we don't foresee any problems getting those things signed. But we will do that, Lynn.
I think it'll be great because hopefully you'll have, and you're going to run it with me this year?
Well, I'm going to say JD, okay? Oh, I'll run. If we get enough help, I'll run. Because
Okay.
I might win my age group.
Thank you.
I also win my weight class.
Sorry, are you done, Councilman? Is walking allowed?
Yes, walking.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, you
Better be.
Yeah, that's what I
Actually,
was getting
Carl,
at.
I'll make this pretty simple. We just want your $27.
Oh, okay, oh, that's what I thought, but I just wanted to make sure
It's
there's
pretty
walking.
easy.
Okay.
You can write a check and go to the finish line and start having breakfast, Carl.
That's what
Well,
I'll do.
Dick, one
Matter of fact, if
question.
you walk, it's $54.
Oh, okay.
Because you're occupying the course twice as long.
Long, okay, it'll be a fast
You're
walk.
extending the time.
Yes. Yeah,
Carl's
but
gonna
one
walk
question,
it.
if people are interested in this, who they contact?
So go to mountairy.mile.com and you can find the race there and register. So we use a company called Run Sign Up, and they do everything. We've already had people sign up for the race. So that site is up and running, and you can sign up. Okay?
All right.
Any other questions? Now, last year, to get approval, you all voted. Do you vote for approval this time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions from me? Okay. Thanks.
No problem. So with that information, I will actually make a motion myself to approve the road closure on Saturday, August 12th from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. for the Main Street Mile. The closure will take place from Prospect Road to Paradise Avenue. So I will make that motion myself. Do we
I
have a
will
second?
second.
We'll go forward with discussion.
I'm glad they're back. Keep it up.
Yeah.
I will say it was a great event last year. What they do is amazing. I've seen their work personally. So all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Good to go. Thank you, Dick. Next item up on the agenda is a bond release for Brittany Manor at Twin Arch Village, Section 5 Public Works Agreement up for approval. I will relinquish the floor to Barney for any information.
Yeah, it's pretty much a very straightforward release request. Brittany Manor is completed, building out, and all we're holding is the final 10%, which we hold for 1 year as a 1-year warranty. So they're requesting to get down to that 10%, which is releasing $555,000 off their bond.
And everything, all the work that they've done pursuant to that bond seems to be done and satisfactory for the community?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. All right, any questions? All right, I will, we'll need a motion to approve the bond release for Brittany Manor at Twin Arch.
Make the motion.
We'll need a second.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, Barney. We're going to call on you again here right now. Next item is an award for an architectural bid for the Flatiron Concept Plan. Barney, take it away.
Sure. So since the, I guess the vote by the council to save the building and not to tear it down, we put the bid out for, to take it to the next step, we put the bid out for A&E services to draw up some options for, 3 options for concept. We did ask for a full design as well, but in phases. And we're not asking you to approve all those phases right now, just the concept phase of that to get started and to look at, I guess the 3 options on the table are keeping the building in place, putting a tunnel through the lower part of the building. Second option is to move the building, relocate it a little bit away from Main Street so you can improve the walkability in front of the building. The third is to take the building, keep it in place, and work with the site in some other fashion, again, leaving it up to the architect and the engineers to come up with a better walkability plan without having to move the building. In all cases, it's following the structural report to maintain the building, make sure it's safe, make it good for another 50 years at least. And so that's about it. So this is for approving a concept is what we're recommending.
Do we have any questions?
I have some questions and comments. So thank you, Barney. So some comments as an introduction. I continue to have safety concerns about this building. There are documented structural deficiencies through the various assessments that the town has conducted. There are documented occupational safety and health non-compliances that have not been addressed. And then the third component is the road safety and the pedestrian safety, given the proximity of the building to Main Street. So I continue to not be able to support the renovation because of those issues. And then a final issue, and your memo speaks to it. You say, improving the site and Flatiron Building while preserving its historical nature would be a benefit to the town. And again, I want to make sure I'm representing all the citizens of the town of Mount Airy. So there are people who would prefer to see a plaza. They would prefer to see a patio. They would prefer to even see a new building. That's borne out by the 2020 community survey, where 75% of the survey takers said they didn't want to restore the building. So with that as a background, the report that we're going to get back, is it going to include costs for pursuing each of those options?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll have cost information in it.
Again, they're going to be very preliminary because
Understand.
they're only so far into the design.
Okay. You said there will be other phases that we will have to, it sounds like, approve. What would be the costs of those other phases of studies that we'd have to be approving? I mean, is it going to be like $45,000, 3 more shots? Or what can we expect to have to see coming after this? Because it seems like if we approve this, we're approving 4 more studies.
Yeah. So for what we had asked for, they'd given us a, sorry, it's the RFP. I think I have a copy of it. Somewhere in total expenses, $279,486. That includes the phase 1 for the $45,000. It includes a phase 2 preliminary phase selected concept. So basically going preliminary phase, going to about a 60% design, and then going into a final design where it's ready to be submitted to the county for review. They also include a bid phase and a contract services phase. So during construction, when they're reviewing RFIs, requests for information, reviewing any submittals, those kind of things, that's included in their bid. So it's going beyond final design, but to give you an idea, somewhere around, close to $300,000.
Okay. Next question. When would this phase 1 study, when would we have this in hand?
So this would take probably about 3 months to finish up.
And would we be getting an independent report back, and that independent report would be provided to the town and to the council? In other words, I understand that, for example, the last assessment, and we had some conversation about this, is that the contractor provided the assessment, and then town staff augmented that a bit or put additional words in it or whatever. So would this be an independent report? We'd get the report, and that's the report, and that's what we would look at. It would be independent.
So I won't say totally independent because part of their scope is to deal with stakeholders, is to actually meet with stakeholders, and that would be the council, that would be the mayor, that would be the task force group, some of the community including some of the businesses downtown. I mean, anybody who's affected by it and who's interested, they would have an opportunity to, give some words to it. So that is part of their scope, is to, seek some input, which we've already given them. We have input that we can share with them. We haven't given them yet, but we can share with them. But yeah, I mean, it's the idea of moving forward through design is to try to get that kind of input. And then also from wherever Maryland Historic Trust, any place that they're looking for grants, that sort of thing. So those would be involved as well.
Okay. Are they going to, will you provide to them all of the structural assessments and environment, safety, and health assessments that have been conducted to date? It seems like they would be needing those.
Yeah, the structural assessment was already part of the package that they looked at before they provided a proposal.
Okay. I don't want to hog the conversation. I have other questions, but maybe I can get a second bite at the apple.
And I will say, I do share with all your safety concerns because I'm very interested in making sure it is. That's where we want to get. We want to preserve. There's a lot of interest in preserving the building, so we want to have a safe building that they can get to and be able to see the building, utilize the building. So that's, trying to make things ADA compliant and all that.
Okay. Actually, I have one real quick question because it might inform other conversation. So is this $45,000 to be fully funded by the town, or are there opportunities to co-fund this with the task force? For example, would the task force be willing to, is there any kind of a commitment to try and totally refund it with grant money?
I can answer that. So currently, the task force has been able to get a $10,000 grant that would be put toward the building. Of course, I'll back up enough to say that we're going to use it where it's most sensible, but using it toward this would be logical. And then they are also awaiting the results of a Maryland Historical Trust grant that has been applied for. And then there's a third grant. I think it's called the Hart Family Grant. Is that right, Lynn? Yeah. So we're waiting to see that grant back. So the hopes would be that this would be funded through those grant the grant proceeds that come in. But we all know how grants work. But we do have 10,000 at this point. So. And Barney, I guess I would want to know, we're not repeating anything from the structural assessments. This is the next move to renovate the building. Is that correct? It's not a repeat step.
No, correct. You're right. We already have the structural assessment. They're going to utilize that to see what's the best way forward in making repairs or whatever the case may be.
Okay. All right, and you described three options, one of which is still relocating the building a little bit further back, keeping the building in place with some road modifications, and then the possibility in the tunnel. And then third option is to find a way for pedestrians to get around the building in a safer manner.
Right.
True. Okay.
So can I jump in here? Because I'll just cut this out from my report later on. You'll be happy to know. So we did get the Preservation Maryland grant for $10,000. They're waiting to hear on the Maryland Historical Trust grant. Was that the one that was 25? I can't recall. More than that, 25 to 100 or something. There are 3 other grant applications that they're working on right now. One was completed. That was the Hart Family Foundation, the mayor said. And there's 2 more that are due mid-July. So if anybody hasn't seen that spreadsheet that was presented to us May of last year, where Larry Valet and the task force detailed all the grants they're going to go for all the stages, that breaks it down into detail. And they're kind of moving along with that plan. So just let you know, there's 2 other that they're due mid-July. So it's going to be like 4 or 5 grants that they're going after. We've already gotten 1. So they're working on what they said they would do to get the money rolling in to continue with their plan.
Carl.
Are you done, Councilman? Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure. I think Barney and I discussed it a little bit today, and I believe the mayor covered it too. We are not repeating any steps because when I read this, it kind of sounded like what we did a year and a half ago somewhere with Design Collective, just to seek designs, but you said this is like the next logical step. We are not repeating anything that we would have done already
Yeah,
on it.
so I did go back just, again, to try to make it as clear as possible. That former step was not preserving the building. It was taken, in all cases that they came up with, all three, we didn't direct them in that direction, but in all three cases it was removing the building. One option was preserving Park Avenue, keeping it open, and the other two were closing it. One was building a medium-sized building in place, and the third was just making it all park, just plazas, landscape areas, and not put a building back at all. But in this case, we've told them the town at this point is interested in saving the building, preserving it, whether it's in place or moved. We want to look at those options.
So no matter what the town council had decided in the past, recently, either to preserve it was what we did, this money would have been spent for design phases of anything that we had decided to do, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So whichever of these phases, if you move forward with one of them,
Yeah.
We will be at concept stage, moving forward, and then going right into the preliminaries.
What I was trying to get at is like, even if we had decided back prior to take it down, which I'm glad we did not, we would have had to, spent this money to design a replacement, because we would not have moved forward without having a replacement in mind.
Yeah, that would have been the next step after taking.
No matter what, this was the logical next step.
Yes.
Thank you.
Everybody else good? All right, so what we'll need is a motion.
I'll make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to approve the award of A&E services for the 2023 Flatiron Building site improvements in the amount of $45,000 to Brennan and Company Architects.
I will second. Do we have any discussion?
Yes, discussion. So the troubling factor here is we're not just dipping our toes in the water here. We're basically committing to follow through with at least $300,000 of design work. So let me ask this. In the spirit of collaboration and cost sharing and a commitment, I believe when the vote was taken to preserve the building, there were statements by council members that says, we're not committing any town resources, we're not doing anything like that, we're not raising taxes, all we're doing is allowing the task force to go out and get grants. Well, now here we are, there's money in the new budget, and now we're spending taxpayer dollars on the building. So would there be any appetite whereby the task force would agree to co-fund at least 50% of all the design work? In other words, if the estimate is that there's going to be $300K for this design work, at a minimum, would the task force commit that through grants and other funding sources, they will commit to providing at least 50% of the funding for this work? That would be a way to potentially move forward.
Well, I think in fairness, the task force, if you draw it out as the Historical Society, they've already put over $12,000 toward it. They already got a grant for $10,000. They continue to seek grants. It is a government building. If we were going to demolish the building and build a plaza, we wouldn't have a task force. And government money would be spent on the building anyway. I don't think it's reasonable for tonight, or potentially even in the future. I mean, we want to get the grants. We want this thing funded without affecting or having a minimum impact on the citizens of the town. Certainly, I want it to have a minimum impact on the budget. That's why I cut the budget. toward this building. But it is unrealistic to think that, that we're going to be able to preserve the building and actually keep moving forward in a manner where we're going to have to put some money out, knowing and hoping that we're going to be getting grant money back that would offset it. You know, we had 2 delegates here, and Commissioner Boucher is already committed to help us in terms of getting a state bond for the building. So there's some risk. But the good news is that we actually got people applying for grants and trying to bring money in, as opposed to the town just having to absorb the cost of demolishing the building and then rebuilding whatever we would have put there. So that's kind of my opinion on it. I understand where you're coming from. So, you know, certainly if you're uncomfortable with it, I know you're going to do whatever you feel is right, and I'm okay with that. So.
Council President, just got a.
Yes, sir.
Are you, I just wanted to make sure that Councilman DeModa was done. This is directed to Barney. More Brennan and Company, guess, what is their, I guess, why were they selected?
Okay, so we had them and Design Collective were the 2 that came in. Brennan and Company, on paper and just in the interview, displayed a lot more, there seemed to be a lot more experience and knowledge in the preserving buildings, preserving historic sites, being a part of the Preservation Maryland, part of the Baltimore chapter of, might not say them all correctly, but of the historic, community. So a lot of Howard County, Ellicott City, Sykesville, experience in many of those areas. So just their experience alone was good to say that they were the right ones for this project.
Thank you.
Yep.
You know, I will jump in. That's all right. I think that, one, we're well within the approved budget that the previous council approved for fiscal year 2023-24. The grant coming in will obviously help offset that as well. What I like about this particular stage is that it's going to present designs and cost estimates for 3 options. And that's what I've been looking for from the beginning. I am on record in saying I want to preserve this building. In fact, that was one of my campaign things, is I want to do everything I can to preserve the building as long as it is fiscally responsible. I don't want to throw good money into a bad building. So the fact that we can spend half of what our yearly budget for this particular line item is and get 3 estimates with cost of all 3, then I would go back to the Historical Society and ask them, what grants can you get to offset these 3 estimates, and then what is your estimated cost of the town going to be then? So to me, I look at this $45,000 not as a $300,000 hit, because we would still have to look at the rest of these. For $45,000, we are finally, after 15 plus years, getting an estimate on what it's going to cost for 3 options to get something done. So for me, that's what I'm looking at now. I would like to see what the cost would be to get something done. Ask the task force how much they feel like they can offset. I don't want to hold them to anything. Looking at from a bird's eye view of best case scenario, worst case scenario, and then see if it's going to be fiscally responsible to move forward after we get these options. So for me, that's what I would be looking for in approving this motion today. Okay. Is there any other?
One more quick question, one comment, and that is,
please.
Once these come back, if there is evidence that the benefit to the town, the uses of the building to the town fulfill the wishes of all the citizens, and it addresses the safety issues, then I may be in a position to consider supporting this building moving forward. But I'm not going to be able to support this particular action tonight.
All right, as of right now, for awarding the architectural bid for the Flatiron Concept Plan, we do have a motion. We have a second. Please signify, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
We have a 4-1. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a review or explanation of the Mount Airy Police Station lease. For this, I will relinquish the floor to Town Attorney Tom McCarron.
Thank you, Council President. So before you is a proposed new lease for the police station. Although it is a new lease in the sense that it would carry our lease term forward, very much looks like the last lease in pretty much every material respect. First, it calls for a 3-year base term starting June 15 this year, ending in 2026. It gives the town the right to exercise 3 options to renew, 6 months each extension, so for a total possibly of 3 years. That was exactly what the last lease had. I did modify a little bit. The last lease required the town to affirmatively write to extend each term by 6 months. We really didn't do that, although the landlord was happy to keep us going. So I slightly revised it that the lease will automatically renew unless we write to say we're non-renewing. So that way it can automatically do this without imposing on us the obligation to renew it through an affirmative writing to the other side, in other words. The rent on page 2, the base rent is the same as it has been all along. And there is a right to increase the rent by 3% over the previous year. As indicated, that too was in the original lease. I did, however, add that before expiration of each renewal period, if the landlord wanted to do that, he had to provide us 30 days written notice in advance. So that's a little different, and I did add that. Otherwise, the terms are really exactly the same. Most of it is boilerplate, but the same nonetheless as the prior lease. So this would essentially take you through 2026 and then give you an option at 6-month intervals to renew for as many as 3 more years beyond that.
Thank you, Tom. Does anybody have any questions?
I have a quick question. Just for context for myself, but for all the citizens. So on page 2, the base rent is $39.84, and then it says the tenant's responsible for paying charges for utilities, et cetera. So can you just, I guess it's a question for the town, can you give us a sense of what are we paying on a monthly basis for all the other ancillary costs so that everybody has an understanding of what it's costing us per month to be in that building? Does the town have an estimate?
$5,057.
That's the extra cost or that's the total cost?
That's the total. So you pay $39.84 in base rent, and then you pay $1,072 and some change, and other tenants' proportionate share of landlord's expenses.
Okay, and the total again was $5,057. Thank you.
Katie, that's the figure you gave us last month, right? When we were talking, okay, thank you.
Exactly the same. I just did the calculations right now.
Thank you, Katie.
I should have added that these terms are acceptable to the landlord. I should have added that.
Thank you for looking that over, Tom. Sure. Larry, do you have anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, you need a motion for this tonight, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
So at this time, we will need a motion to renew the lease for the Mount Airy Police Station.
I'll make a motion to renew the lease for the Mount Airy Police Station.
We have a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All right, at this time, with a motion and a second, please signify by saying aye. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you, Tom. Next item on the agenda will be commission appointments and reappointments. At this time, I will relinquish the floor to our mayor.
All right, thank you, Council President. First appointment, I'd like to appoint Sean Kelly to the Board of Appeals as the alternate member to the Board of Appeals. Oh, geez.
Yeah, my question was, we never got
Yeah.
an application that we normally get.
Well, I apologize for
I
that.
think we got an email with it, but I didn't bring
Yeah,
that.
May have been
Not in the
attached to the
packet.
email, but,
There was an email attachment for Sean.
all right. So I'd ask you to vote on it tonight. I understand if you want to delay.
No, I will, do we need to make a motion for that?
Yeah.
All right, so I will make a motion to add Sean Kelly as a alternate for the Board of Appeals.
Discussion? Or do you need me to
Second.
second it?
First. I'll second.
Okay, now we will go to discussion.
So I have a question and then a couple quick comments. So, Mr. Mayor, can you help me, just share with me your thinking behind wanting to appoint this individual, and it's not an advocate for or disadvocate for the organization, but this individual is a part of the, what is it, the Citizens Against Mount Airy Overdevelopment. So he's a CAMO member, and by his own self-identification, he's kind of a core member. He's identified himself as an expert.
Yeah.
So help me understand your thinking behind wanting a CAMO representative on a Board of Appeals.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. First of all, there are other persons who have affiliated themselves with the CAMO group who I have put on the commission already, so this isn't the first time that I've done it. I hate to be nostalgic and go back 20 years, but I'm going to. There was a time when we had an annexation that was going to occur, and there were an active group of 20 to 30 people, one of which is out there. And we all stood up and started voicing our opinions at the podium concerning that annexation that was occurring there. Those are the people who got involved, became knowledgeable of what was going on in the town, and became active and wanted to come in and help. As you know, in town, it's hard to find volunteers to begin with. So when you got someone who, starts collecting the facts, even if, though sometimes we stumble, and I certainly stumbled 20 years ago, as I learned the town code, as I learned the processes and everything, I didn't come in a rock star. I came in as somebody who still had some learning to do. The alternate position is certainly a chance for someone to come in, get their foot in the water and learn a little bit more of the process. And I think that any of these citizens out here who have been coming to the podium, who have been making themselves aware of the processes and everything, those are the people I want on the commissions. So hopefully that's the way it goes tonight. I've had appointments get rejected before. But I think in this case, I think that Sean Kelly would be an excellent addition. I've talked to him in the past. I'm very comfortable with his position on different items in the town, and I think he'd be a great asset.
Okay, and then a quick comment. So let me use an analogy. So if we had an organization, the Future Farmers of America, and you were going to put a Future Farmers of America person on a commission or a Board of Appeals, they bring with them the thoughts and policies of that host organization they're affiliated with. And so for me, it's a little bit of a concern because this isn't a regular commission. This is the Board of Appeals. The Board of Appeals is more like a evidentiary, judiciary kind of a body. The people on that Board of Appeals are acting as a judge. And for me, I think it's important for the town processes that, everybody brings biases. Everybody has biases. But the question is an individual going to be adjudicating on something on a Board of Appeals and be biased by the CAMO positions? The CAMO has a website. They have stated positions and policies. I just want to make sure that decisions that come out of Board of Appeals are unbiased, can't be challenged because of various affiliations. So it's not a person issue, it's a process issue, it's a good governance issue. That would be my only concern. And it's just a comment. I'm not looking for a debate.
In fairness, I'm not going to debate with you, but, are you telling me that the only person who could serve on the Parks and Rec Commission is somebody who doesn't have kids in youth sports or has never dealt with youth sports? You have to have some ability to bring in, people who are willing to learn, people who have gotten involved in these things. So I don't know. While I understand what you're saying as far as a cronyism type of environment in town hall or at the police station or something, okay, that's valid. On the Board of Appeals, I'm just not seeing it. So
No, it was exactly what I stated. It wasn't anything else.
I'll jump in real quick and just mention that personal opinion that any time a group of citizens gets together, and in this case, most of them are town residents, and they organize and they work hard and they get facts, and then they come and they challenge us, that should not be held, in my opinion, to their detriment. The fact that they have a website, a Facebook page, and I'm not a stakeholder in CAMO, I will openly admit that, but I don't want people to not get involved in fear that they will be judged if they try to then further themselves into the town of government. So I do not look at Sean as a problem being on the Board of Appeals just based on his CAMO situation. I think that he will do his due diligence and act independently, as all of us are expected to do as well. But I don't think that we can start to make a precedent to where we would negatively look at people trying to be appointed based on their interaction or their willingness to challenge us in our decisions we make. So, thank you.
I have a few comments. Mayor, I want to ask you, because I apologize, I do see the application now. So we've had this since February. I'm going to come at it from a selfish standpoint because Streets and Roads is in desperate need of people, and you know that. And I see that he put on his application Streets and Roads. So I know his wife has gotten involved in the town. I know they've gotten involved in events. And I think he can be a valuable asset. We don't have people knocking down the doors to volunteer for these commissions. So my question would be, selfishly, although it's not mine now, is where's he been when I've been asking you for more people on Streets and Roads? You've had this. So my question is, Board of Appeals meets how many times a year? I kind of almost feel like it's a waste of someone who is an active volunteer. I'd rather see him, Planning Commission, there's no openings there, but Streets and Roads, to get him in there so we can start rebuilding that commission. So I'm coming at it from a selfish standpoint, number one. Number two, I hate to have him on a commission that meets maybe, not very often, twice a year, tops, if we're lucky. I'd like to see him go on Streets and Roads, honestly. So I just wonder why you wouldn't take him and say, let's get him on something where he can jump in and start working.
Sean, you want to be on Streets and Roads too?
Hold on, Lynn, I got to be
I just noticed you put Streets and Roads, Sean, so I had to jump in. Because I've been asking the mayor for volunteers for
Lynn,
6 months.
before the mayor commits, I want to be a little bit selfish here and say sustainability and recycling and sanitation are looking for people too.
Did you ask the mayor since January?
Well, I just want to be selfish here too.
You got to wait.
Okay.
Wait in line.
I just want to say, thank you. I just want to say that the overall comment I made to the mayor was, I'll serve wherever you need me. So, I don't know, 3 is a little over the top, Carl.
He didn't tell me that, I'm just
But
saying.
I'm flattered to be considered. And if you think you can use me on streets and roads, I would gladly do that also.
I do have
I
a
really
comment.
kind of feel, I mean, I don't want to put you on a spot, but I really feel strongly about that because, the chairperson stepped down. So now we've got, luckily, I believe Lucy might be stepping in as the chair and she really needs some help. And I know EDC is down in numbers, but I'm only advocating for streets and roads. That's all I'm
I
saying.
can keep advocating for
Oh,
EDC because
Yeah.
Submit
I'm the
them
liaison.
next year or next month for streets and roads.
Yeah.
Sean, are you willing to?
Oh, that's right, you are.
I'm sorry, Carl.
No,
Go
I
ahead.
got a couple comments too.
Go ahead, Carl.
No, I'm not, this isn't before we start arguing over Sean here, he's probably worthy of arguing over. I just want to say that I agree with the comments of the council president. He just said it more eloquently. We should not ever, in this country or this government here, not consider someone for a position on a commission solely based on group affiliation. It sets us down a very dangerous path and road, which I cannot agree on and be part of. And I'll say a thing on personal note on Sean. He has, we all make mistakes and comments on Facebook, and when he does make a mistake, he just tries, or he does approach me and try and find the correct answer and things of that nature. So he's willing to learn, he's willing to admit mistakes and incorrectness, and willing to learn when he has a question or concern. Also, Board of Appeals, I believe, he would make an excellent addition to Board of Appeals also. But the things 9 times out of 10 the Board of Appeals consider, in my view, would not go against CAMO's mission against overdevelopment. It's more like somebody wants to add a daycare to a house or something else, or a fence permit or something else that doesn't agree with the code for something they want on their personal property. So I don't believe CAMO is against fences in people's yards or daycares in people's homes and things of that nature, the things I've seen come before Board of Appeals. While they do some related to development, but I don't think it would be a conflict of interest in any such way. Mr. President, thank you.
Yeah, I'll kind of rein this back in here. Just to clarify, we're not looking at, in my opinion, Sean Kelly, the CAMO member. We're looking at Sean Kelly, the resident of Mount Airy for a very long time. So I don't think that CAMO even needs to be brought up. We're voting on an individual, not a group or the standards, trusting that he will make the right decision for the town and the community when he's asked to do so, not based on his affiliations, but based on what he thinks is best for the town. So I'll rein us back in here. We have a motion, we have a second for Sean Kelly to be appointed to the Board of Appeals as an alternate. If he so chooses to be Streets and Roads, we can approach that next month as well. So right now, we do have a second. We do, and we had our discussion. We're good there. So all in favor of Sean Kelly being appointed to the Board of Appeals as an alternate, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
I abstain.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, and next on the list is Pete Ballas. I think he was walking around here earlier, but he left. So reappointed to the Recycling and Sanitation Commission.
Whose is that? Whose is that?
I think that's Carl's.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to make the?
Oh, yeah,
motion?
I'll make a motion to reappoint Pete Ballas to this Recycling and Sanitation Commission.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor of Pete Ballas being reappointed to the Recycling and Sanitation Commission, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, passes. Thank you, Mayor. All right, next item on the agenda, we're getting into our ordinance and resolutions. If you've seen the agenda, you will see that we have many emergency budget amendments. Katie, not to put you on the spot, but if possible, just for transparency, can you please explain what it is that we're going to be doing on these next 14 total budget amendments?
Yes. So at the end of every fiscal year, we generally do these. Sometimes we refer to them as housekeeping budget amendments. Basically what it is, with governmental accounting, you do a budget for a year. And at the end of the year, you want to be as close to those actual numbers as you can. I mean, they're all best guesses, so you do the best that you can. These are projects that either didn't move forward or they didn't move forward as fast as we hoped, so we did not spend the full amount that we budgeted. Now, we do budget when a project comes in. Some projects take multiple years, but we budget for the total project each year. And then we do a budget amendment to remove what isn't going to be done, and we add it to the next year. Which a lot of the ones that we are removing are already in 24's budget. So this is just the last step of that housekeeping,
Okay. So removing unspent money, placing it into a new line item.
essentially.
So while it seems like a lot, it's pretty basic
Yep. and it
housekeeping
happens
for the town.
every
and
year.
the community. Okay. So hearing that, we will go through the next 14 emergency ordinances. Just for clarification for the council, these are up for emergency adoption, therefore they will need a supermajority vote of 4-1 in order to pass. All right, so we will start with ordinance 2023-16, budget amendment to reduce the general government capital line item for office or network equipment in the amount of $9,000. I will.
I'll make a,
Yeah, I will make a motion to approve.
second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, if you are in favor, please signify by saying aye. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Good. Ordinance 2023-17, budget amendment to reduce the general government capital line item for the Flatiron Building in the amount of $180,000. I will make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yes, question. So the ordinance says some funding needs to remain in the line item for the expenses incurred for the completed structural analysis. How much money is being left for that cost?
So there was a total of, I believe, 200,000.
It was 200,000, yes.
The Historical Society did give us half of the, and I don't have the numbers.
I think it was like 12 or 12.5 or something.
Yeah, so we did spend that amount. We left a little bit in there because we knew this architectural. So just in case any of those expenses come in before the end of June 30th, there's a little bit of money left in for that.
Okay, and the $40,000 design collective study that the council passed last year, that came out of the 200K also? Where did that come
I
out of?
believe that was the
Year
previous
before.
fiscal year.
Okay,
That was
previous.
22.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Any other further discussion? All right, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Abstain.
Ordinance 2023-18, budget amendment to reduce the Mount Airy Police Department capital line item for police vehicle purchases and upfitting of $50,000. I will make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next up, 2023-19, budget amendment to reduce the roads capital line item for vehicle purchases in the amount of $40,000. I will make a motion to approve. Any discussion? Everyone in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Right. Ordinance 2023-20, budget amendment to reduce the roads capital line item for Center Street connection in the amount of $500,000. I will make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes. Question, I know this has been asked and answered, but please remind me again. The $500,000 state grant, how long is that accessible to us for, before that runs out?
I believe it's 28, right? Oh, 2027.
All right, thank you.
All right, any further discussion? All right, for approval, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Ordinance 2023-21, budget amendment to reduce the roads capital line item for the South Main Street roundabout in the amount of $275,000. I will make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I abstain.
thank you. Ordinance 2023-22, budget amendment to reduce the Parks capital line item for Village Gate Park in the amount of $16,000. I will make a motion to approve.
Second. Oh,
You can have it.
okay, thank you.
Carl's got it.
I forgot
Any,
Lynn's Park and Recs now.
All right, any discussion? All right, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Right. Ordinance 2023-23, budget amendment to reduce Parks capital line item for Twin Ridge Baseball Field in the amount of $9,400. I will make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Ordinance 2023-24, budget amendment to reduce the Parks capital line item for Rails to Trails West of Main, $360,000. I will make a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Right. Ordinance 2023-25, budget amendment to reduce the community development capital line item for capital purchases in the amount of $25,000. I will make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. 2023-26, budget amendment to reduce and reallocate roads capital grant revenue line item to Parks capital grant revenue in the amount of $5,000. I will make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Ordinance 2023-27, budget amendment to add the Parks capital revenue line item for Parks grants for capital projects in the amount of $574,737. I will make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're almost there. Ordinance 2023-28, budget amendment to reduce the sustainability operating line item for $17,500. I will make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Ordinance 2023-29, budget amendment to reduce the MAPD's operating line item for police retirement in the amount of $67,000. I will make a motion to approve.
Second. Sorry. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Katie, is that sufficient? All right, you're good to go. Nothing like job security. All right, so moving on to ordinance 2023-30. This is an ordinance to change open space inadequacy waiver threshold for the mixed-use district, or MXD. This is up for introduction and referral to the Planning Commission. I will move to introduce 2023-30.
Second.
And we will now send that off to the Planning Commission. So we'll see that back when it gets back. All right, next up is ordinance 2023-31, ordinance to amend the town's water allocation ordinances to update water allocation categories for MXD and to prohibit an allocation category from obtaining access appropriate due to overlap of allocation categories. This is up for introduction. Would anyone like to introduce?
I introduce ordinance number 2023-31 as described by the council president.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Jason. This will come back to us next month. This will not go to Planning Commission.
Do we need a hearing date? Do we need to set a hearing? Okay, never mind. Thank you.
Yep, so we'll come back.
I showed it for introduction, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
for
it's
introduction.
introduction.
Okay, all right.
Just doesn't go to
So
planning.
it's been introduced, seconded. We'll see it again next month.
Yeah.
All right. Final ordinance for the night, ordinance 2023-32, ordinance to amend the mixed-use district, MXD, provisions related to open space for introduction and referral to Planning Commission. I will move to introduce. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, that is off to the Planning Commission as well. Under unfinished business, that's it for all of our ordinances for the night. I don't see anything under unfinished business. Did that change at all? All right, we are on to our mayor, council, and staff reports. We will begin with the mayor's report.
All right, pretty busy month, with May, but there's some things coming up, so I'm going to go straight to the notes. First thing is the bulk trash pickup is now going to be a curbside event. Was one of the council members going to talk about this? If not, I'll go ahead and continue. Okay, so since the event in the municipal parking lot got canceled, we moved to a curbside event, which was budgeted, and that will be on June 24th. So you can put 2 large items out per household, and you need to have those items out by the curb by 6 a.m. on that day. So again, June 24th for your bulk items out by the curb. And for all you people who like to collect metal and go up to Reliable Recycling, feel free to hit the streets at night and grab all the metal that you want. There's going to be a ribbon cutting ceremony for Phase 1 of the skate park on June 7th, which is 2 days from now, at 3 p.m. It'll be on site in Watkins Park. And the skate park was funded through about a 50-50 match with the fundraising organization that went out there and raised funds for creating that phase of the skate park. So congratulations to them. It went up quick once we got the ball rolling, so we'll be out there on Wednesday. PFAS update, samples for the second quarter have been drawn and we are awaiting the results. Both the wells and the pumping stations were tested this time. We are also waiting for appraisals on the properties necessary for PFAS remediation, so we don't have those appraisals back for those footprints. Total remediation of contaminants is reaching conclusion on the 0.6 miles section of rails to trails between Hill Street and the Village Gate community to include a final asphalt pedestrian pathway. This is being funded primarily through the ARPA grants or the ARPA funds, grants and a bond bill. As well, the town received $146,000 in open space funding to enhance the trail on the Frederick County side of Mount Airy. So that's moving along really nice, and it looks great if you haven't gone out there and taken a look at it. It's a terrific job going on. Congratulations. We had Lieutenant Ginevra up here earlier. He is our acting interim police chief. Congratulations on his recent promotion and for accepting this responsibility. And so he's going to be running the show for a while at the Mount Airy Police Department. The fireworks display, there's been some social media stuff going on that's caused a little bit of confusion. But indeed, the fireworks will go off on July 3rd this year, which is a Monday, and the event starts at 4 p.m. So I want to say thank you to all the organizers who are putting that together this year. But again, fireworks on July 3rd will go on. I wanted to congratulate and thank the Gold Star Post 191 and the VFW across the street, as well as the Marine Corps League, for putting on a wonderful Memorial Day ceremony. It was a great service, great event, and very well attended, and it certainly honored those who we lost in foreign wars, as well as the Civil War. The Community Carnival is going on this week, sponsored by the Four County Lions Club. So get out there this week and out to the carnival grounds and enjoy your all your carnival food and all the events and visit all the vendors. I hope to see all the council members out there, and I'll be going out there and checking things out too. And that completes my report.
Thank you, Mayor. Our next report will be for Recreations and Parks, Beautification Commission, and the Flatiron Task Force. Off to Council Secretary Galletti.
Thank you. So for Beautification Commission, it's kind of short and sweet. They are, as they always are, but since it's spring into summer, planting, weeding. They put some trees up by the dog park, I think, to get more shade. At Watkins Park, the town got the $5,000 grant to rebuild the footbridge on the original portion of the trail by Watkins. And the Summit Ridge Park is being redesigned, so they're working on a lot of that. Next meeting, June 20th, Town Hall. Parks, and that's the report for that. Parks and Rec, the Windy Ridge Trail News Shed arrived on May 11th. Work days are still being held, so please check the Facebook page for that. And there's a QR code where you can sign up and find the dates, because I think the Ellises are still out there weekends working. The skate park, as we know, final stages, ribbon cutting this week, as the mayor said. Camp night is being held on August 12th. Lilo and Stitch will be played, the movie, and they're kind of changing it up. They're talking about doing food trucks instead of having all those volunteers do the cooking and spending a lot of time and a lot of lines. So they're looking into food trucks for that event. They submitted a grant application to Frederick County for the Village Gate Tennis Court, because that needs resurfacing and it's pretty expensive. And they were awarded a grant for the Summit Ridge Playground, awarded grant for the Summit Ridge Playground, and that should be complete by the end of the year. Parks and Rec meets the third Thursday of the month. I don't have that date, I apologize. And the Flatiron Task Force, all I have left, then what we didn't talk about is they're looking to do the open houses. They're working with the mayor and town staff to look at some safety issues and other things to be ironed out. And hopefully, starting this summer, there'll be maybe some artwork. They're working on a whole plan, right, to maybe have some artwork and to showcase some of the history of the town in the Flatiron Building. So look for that. There will be a meeting this month, so you can look for that on the town page. And that concludes my reports.
Thank you very much, Council Secretary Galletti. Next up will be Planning Commission with Councilmember Evans.
Thank you, Council President. As my first report for the Planning Commission, I don't actually have a report. There was no meeting in May due to the charrette, so my first meeting will be on June 12th. So I'll have a report for you in July.
Thank you, Councilmember Evans. Next up will be the Streets and Roads Commission, EDC, and the Main Street Safety Task Force with Councilmember DeMotor.
All right, thank you. I'm going to start with EDC. So I attended my first EDC meeting, which was held on May 24th. The topic centered on planning for various community outreach activities and social media outreach activities. I requested some time and spent some time, and I appreciate the time, from town staff member Ashley Collier. Had a telephone call with her just to get a background on what her perspectives were on the EDC, opportunities, challenges, how it could be of most help to the commission from her perspective. So that was a very informative telephone call, and I greatly appreciate her time. I told the EDC members, I am the council liaison, so I will be as involved or uninvolved as they would like me to be. And I mean, my minimum requirements are to just do communication exchange between the council and the commission. But I expressed to them, I'm happy to roll up my sleeves, do whatever I can to help make them successful. And to that end, the first challenge they gave me was to help find some new membership. So I am actively working on that. Streets and Roads. Streets and Roads will hold their next meeting on July 29th, and I'll be doing some networking in preparation for that meeting. I'm already working with several members of the commission. I think each of the commissions is going to have a banner for a booth at the farmers market. So we've been talking about what should be on the banner, how to highlight the fact that safety is a key aspect of the Streets and Roads mission. So we're already engaging, and I'm working with the members on that. And then finally, the Main Street Safety Task Force. We had a meeting in May, and the task force has prepared a final report detailing its recommended path for the future and highlighting the accomplishments of the task force over the past year. The task force got stood up last March by the mayor. We've been active for a little more than a year. I think we've done a great job. The members have done a great job in identifying projects and initiatives, implementing those initiatives, learning from them, and applying them more broadly to other areas in the town, or setting the table that that can be done. So for council members and Mr. Mayor, I've given you each a copy of this report, and I will work to schedule some time, Larry, with you to go over this. And I think the intention is, from some exchange with the mayor, to take the successes of the task force, roll that into streets and roads, and certainly Main Street safety will continue to be a main focus area and agenda item on each of the meetings, because there are things to do specifically for Main Street. But it's probably time to kind of integrate those activities and learn from that, build on that, and move forward. So a big thank you to all the members of the task force. The MAPD did an outstanding job supporting the task force, and we're looking forward to that continued partnership. And that is my report.
Thank you very much, Councilman DeMotor. Next up will be the Recycling and Sanitation Commission, as well as the Sustainability Commission with Councilmember Munder.
All right, thank you, Council President. Sanitation Recycling Commission met Wednesday, 5/17 at 7 p.m. here in Town Hall. It was a interesting and educational meeting. The members seem to be a very fun group, so I will look forward to working with them. And we will take any new members that might be looking for other assignments coming down the pike too. I know. Sean's running. Thanks, Sean. Yeah. I know. Sheesh. But we did discuss the upcoming next year. They have this scheduled already for April 20th. The Shred and Battery event will be held April 20th, 2024. The mayor already mentioned the curbside bulk pickup June 24th. Green Day, unfortunately, was canceled due to the weather. They are discussing rescheduling that event, but I do want to build on that I heard today. I just looked it up on my phone, that today is World Environmental Day on June 5th, and this is, I guess, I want to say the best thing this is the first time I've ever heard about it, but the best I can say is it's like Green Day or Earth Day for the whole world. And this year's theme is solutions to plastic pollution. So they were doing a big thing on the news and things. I never heard about it. So please keep that in mind and keep an eye out for next year. But please try and reduce your plastic pollution. It is a problem. They also discussed a new drug deactivation system called Deterra. It's something available on Amazon and other systems. As you order a bag, you come in, you mix your drugs with warm water, and then you can throw it out in the normal trash if you can't make it to the drop box up at the police station. They were going to discuss maybe looking into some co-funding from the town to purchase some bags and hand out, something that they're going to continue discussing. I also like to mention that I believe the yard waste pickup days are still ongoing. They are the first and third Saturdays of the month, I believe, but please check the town website for that. The town website also has a whole list of items that can and cannot be accepted for the bulk pickup and what has to be done related to refrigerators and grills and riding and push mowers. So please look up there before you put that out at the curb. There was no sustainability meeting this month because they meet every third Wednesday of even months. So the next sustainability meeting will be Wednesday, 6/21 at 7 p.m. in Town Hall. The Sanitation and Recycling Commission meets on the odd months, third Wednesday. So the next meeting for them will be 7/19 at 7 p.m. in Town Hall. And that concludes my report, Council President. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Munder. On to the Water and Sewer Commission, which is myself. Unfortunately, their meeting was held on May 3rd. At that particular time, I was not assigned to the Water and Sewer Commission yet. But I want to thank Dick Swanson for taking the time to meet with me this past Friday over at Superfoods to give me a quick update on what to expect and what's been going on. So I will read this. If you have any further comments, please feel free to come up and say so. Members discussed the ability for citizens to take an initiative to test and/or protect themselves from PFAS if they deem it necessary through various types of filtration systems available while the town continues to learn and remedy the issues as best they can. Chairman Swanson distributed the fiscal year 2024 budget and noted that $274,546 would be needed from reserves to balance the water and sewer operating budget. He also provided an analysis of the water and sewer capital reserve balance over the last 13 months that showed a $1.1 million reduction. All members agreed to review the water and sewer rates and consider a recommendation of increasing the rates to help eliminate operational deficits and contribute additional funds to cover capital projects. The next meeting will take place on Wednesday, June 7th, 7 p.m. at Town Hall. And just a heads up, there will be no meeting in July to allow for July 4th celebration. Chairman Swanson, do you have anything to add? Thank you, sir. Thank you. First one's in the books. All right. I will now turn it over to the town attorney report, Mr. McCarron.
Thank you. Helped prepare some of the ordinances that were on the agenda. Also attended the Planning Commission workshop on Ordinance 2023-8. Also attended the O'Brien property rezoning hearing and the subsequent meeting approving the findings and decision, a draft of which I prepared. And the last part is that I will be having an update to the PFAS litigation that we have joined. I've gotten a couple of updates for you from council down there. So that's it.
Are you going to offer that in a closed meeting?
I was just going to do it in writing.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Thank you.
Yep. All right. Thank you, Town Attorney Tom McCarron. We've all received the reports from the town administrator. Mr. Warrington, do you have anything to add to those reports at all? All right. Same with we got a very detailed code enforcement.
Council President,
Yes,
I have
sir.
a question about the administrator report.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, please go ahead.
So a question for you, David. Item number 2. So let me give you background. So I was invited to participate in a PFAS meeting. I think it was in January of this year. And I remember from my meeting notes, there were some notes in there that said, we need to start thinking about asking MDE for approval to increase well pumping due to the PFAS for the wells that were immediately impacted in January. So that was identified as a need in January. So here you're saying that you're working with MDE on your request for increasing the well pumping. What's the status of that? When do we think we're going to get an answer?
Yeah, I could take that. So we did put in a request to increase our wells in general across the board for temporary, and we got denied that specific request. We have put in another request for increasing one particular well, and that's being reviewed right now.
And which well is that? Is that the one out by Twin Ridge? I don't remember the pumping station number.
It's Windy Ridge.
Windy Ridge, okay.
In fairness, I mean, the staff has kept me informed on that too. So we sat down today and talked about, the upcoming samples and the distribution of those, but we also talked about that water allocation, especially in that Windy Ridge area, so.
Okay. And do you have any sense for when you might hear back from MDE?
It's hard to tell.
Okay.
I'll be honest.
I understand.
I could get a quick response. That might not be a good thing.
I work for the government, I understand.
Yeah, so it might take a little time, but I've heard anywhere between a few months to 2 or 3 years for a final, appropriation if we were to get one, so.
Just to temporarily increase the pumping rates for that one?
This one is for a permanent.
Oh, it is? Okay. All right, thank you.
Yep.
All right, we're on to the code enforcement report. That was all. We had a copy of that, very detailed. Any questions or concerns? Same with the zoning administrator report. Any questions? All right. And luckily, that looks like it concludes the agenda. Mr. McCarron, do we have any closed meetings this evening?
I don't believe so, not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so either. We're still waiting on appraisals, and David, unfortunately, is publicly, we're out there looking for a town administrator to replace you, which we regret, so.
Well, hearing that there's no closed meetings this evening, I will make a motion to adjourn. In order to do this, we will do a roll call. So I will start with Councilmember Evans.
Aye.
Councilmember Munder.
Aye.
Council Secretary Galletti.
Aye.
Councilman Demoter.
Aye.
I will be an aye as well. The ayes have it. We are now adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, sir.